What's up, everyone? How are you doing today? Happy Hacking Tuesday. And we have a special guest with us here today. So we have. Do you prefer Sitten or Amel? What do you prefer on our?
Yeah, Sitten is good.
Yeah. Sitten. All right. So we have Sitten here from Kaido, one of the team members. So we're gonna do some. Ask me anything, answer some questions. We're going to do a few boxes on, or maybe just one box, depends on how much time we have, on Try Hack Me. So yeah, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon to others. I can see some usual faces in the chat. It's good to see you all. Do you want to give us some background, a little bit of information about yourself and kind of an introduction to the Kaido project? Because I think a lot of people probably, might be new, unless they caught, the stream a few weeks ago, but we always have people coming in and out. Yeah. Give us a quick intro.
Yeah, sure. My name is Emil, aka Sitten or Saiten, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Co-founder of Kaido. So yeah, the idea behind Kaido is we wanted to build better tooling for the community. And it started with Corbenic. We're friends from high school, and it started like that. We wanted to build better tooling and started working on Kaido like 2 years ago now, and went full time on it last year. Build a company around it. So and now we're trying to make it sustainable as a project. It's kind of our goal for the year, and always improving the tool. We're a small bootstrap company. We can discuss that a bit later, why we decided to go bootstrap and what it entails and what's different from founded companies. But I think that's our philosophy, and that's where we're trying to really be on the trying to build stuff that really the community needs. And
yeah, that's awesome.
We know there are a lot of frustration in the community, and
yeah, we like to complain a lot as a community.
Yeah, it's okay. That's how you improve.
Being frustrated is good. Yeah. But that's awesome. Being able to kind of take an idea or solve a problem and build a product. And so many projects kind of like start. There's a GitHub repository, and then there's no contributions for like 5 years. So just, in fact, getting to a point where you have a stable product is a real feat in itself. And I kind of started my career as a dev for a year or two, and I know how hard it is getting stuff off the ground. So props to you and the team for achieving that.
There's a big difference between just like building a project for fun and then trying to build a business around it and making a living. And ultimately, like, you see that it's very great to have open source, but like if you need a really big community, and even that you need people like really dedicated. If we can build a business around it, our thing is, our mentality is that we can sustain it for a long time and make sure that the project survives for a longer amount of time.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, cool. So what's kind of like the vision for Kaido, or like the long-term goal? What do you envision in terms of like, once you're, let's say, like if you release a 1.0 ready to go, maybe all products develop over time, but what's your main core vision?
I think it changed over the years, obviously, because we found some stuff, and I think it started as like we wanted to make sure that the tool was always accessible remotely, and that's still important for us to be able to like deploy Kaido on any server remotely, and you can access it with a web browser. That's still important, but it took less importance in terms of our vision. And our long-term vision is more of a no-code and low-code solution. So that's where we want to build our plugin system. We're starting with the next release, we'll have a first iteration on that. And the idea is like, right now, if you want to code a plugin or anything, you need to know Java, or you need to know Python, you need to read the doc. It's not very nice. And we want to take an approach similar to what Unreal did, where you can just have blocks, and then you can pop blocks, and then you have events, and then you can connect events and do multiple things. If you know how to code, you can code your own blocks, obviously, and then otherwise you can use other people's blocks, but you can still define your own workflow and kind of like build your own mini plugins based on your own needs. So that's kind of our vision long term. And
it's going to be cool in terms of like DevOps and automation and things, being able to get what you want out of the tool and making it fit whatever flow or whatever pipeline that you've got.
But everything like from just like, even like, let's say a lot of plugins on Burp Suite, not to name it, but are like a passive workflow. So you detect something and then you mark it, the issue, as something that's relevant. So that's something you need to currently know how to code, but you don't really need. Like, if we provide you the right building blocks, you can build your own detections and own special things. And I think that's our vision for longer term. So.
Yeah, nice, cool. I can see a couple of actually, I mean, we kind of just answered one already. So is the community-driven add-on. So of course, that's coming. Did you say the next release or like?
It's gonna be in phase. So our first release, we're gonna deploy for the conversion. So we have currently a convert tool, but it's very old and we haven't touched it in a long time. So we're getting rid of it, and then we're introducing our new. We call that workflows. So those are workflows, and the workflow runner and all that we're introducing in the next release, if all goes well. The backend is already done, but it's always about the front end. Like, I'm not doing the front end, it's Corbinic
Yeah,
that does
yeah,
the front end. So depends on how much time it takes to it.
yeah, fair. And I suppose I was expecting we'd get this question, and we got it quite early on. So I suppose this is kind of like a difference. What makes Kaido kind of like different to tools like Burp Suite that are already well established? And
Yeah, it's a
things like
very
this?
common question.
Yeah, I thought,
Um,
yeah, for sure.
So obviously, like, we don't have all the little tools and all the features that more established tools have. We decide and pick and choose our battles. I think one of the things we offer that is unique is that you can deploy it everywhere, really.
Yeah.
And it's just a lightweight web server that it's Rust based, the backend, and then you have a front end in Vue. And we've seen people deploy it either on VPS in the cloud or even crazy devices like Android and stuff like that, just for fun. But in the end, that's one of our big features right now.
Yeah.
We also offer, like, on the free tier, unlimited projects, which is something Burp doesn't offer for free.
Yeah.
Like, every time you want to, we try to basically improve the UX at every turn of the. My screen went dark. Let me put something so I don't go to.
That's right. We can still see you. It's all good.
Okay, so good.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And for me, well, when I was kind of playing around with Kaido to begin with and making the YouTube video that I put out about it, for me, like, one of the big things is how does it help my like workflow? And I really liked especially like with the automate, with the different sessions, and being able to kind of just be a little bit more organized, because I'm known for having like 50 repeater tabs open, and I'm like, oh yeah,
classic problem.
Where does this go? So like UI, like a lot of people are like, oh yeah, front end doesn't mean anything. UI is really, really important for me personally, I think. And especially if you're going to work across a larger team as well. So having a background with a lot of application security engineers at a big enterprise, I can't just have everything open in like the terminal. I need to be able to present to developers and collaborate with people. So being able to deploy in lots of different ways and easily is quite nice to see as well. And Burp Suite is a little heavy. It's Java applications. It's
definitely if you have not the laptop of the year, that's something we worked a lot on. We don't consume a lot of RAM. We're a lot disk based. We're a big fan of SQLite, so everything is in SQLite databases. We try to optimize that a lot.
Makes sense. What are the chances of getting an internship at Kaido?
Right now, it's none. We're a really small bootstrap company, so we're 3 people. We don't generate enough revenue right now even to pay ourselves, so it's still
hopefully in the future.
It's still very early for the company, but not excluding in the future for sure. I've been an intern like many times because I did a co-op program in university, and I know the value of it. So I like working with interns. So
makes sense. This is a good question. So more to do with scale, I suppose. So does Kaido handle massive amounts of requests, so like 20K plus, without slowing down? Obviously, that does depend a little bit on the hardware you're using.
Yeah. I think we do handle a lot of requests fairly well. Usually I do a lot of testing around 100,000 requests in my database, so I can know a bit the feeling and where the cracks are. So that's kind of my target. One thing I would say is that in Kaido, usually you don't end up that many requests because it's so easy to switch projects. So it doesn't like, you don't have to restart the app or anything. It's just a button in the UI. So people end up creating a lot of small projects. That's what I've seen.
I see.
So you don't have that much problem, but we did a lot of lazy loading. Like almost everything is lazy loaded in the app. We've put a lot of effort on that, and we can chat about that because it's very, very hard to do lazy loading over the network and all of those events that are happening at the same time. So
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Cool. Okay. What else do we have in the questions? I did see another one coming, but I think I've scrolled past. So apologies if I've missed it. If you posted a question and I missed it, let me scroll back up. And what's the best Linux OS for hacking? Whichever one you're most comfortable with. That's the answer, I think. it's not necessarily like, you know, the Linux distro you're using, it's how you use it, right? That's always always
Anyway,
the
most
trick.
people don't use all the tools that are in those distribution anyway. So anyway, you end up with your own set of tools at the end of the day. That's what's important.
Yeah, makes sense. So why is so there's a question here about the sign up and login required to use. I think to me, it kind of, having used the tool, it makes sense to sign up, because then well, obviously you can manage if you're a free user, or you can manage your licenses, but also I think
I know
when I signed up, I logged into the UI. So
yeah, it's a common common thing people ask us. I think eventually we might get rid of it for the free users. At the end of the day, the way why we decided to do that is because it's a remote server, so in theory it can be exposed to the internet, and eventually we want to also allow collaboration. So there's a need to support multi-user, and that was the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, makes sense.
And we also want to offer like eventually sharing between users and all that, so it will be all tied on to your Kaido account. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, that's why we decided to go that way instead of licenses, and it allows us to give you unlimited machines. Like you don't buy a license for a machine, you just buy like your seat, and then you can install Kaido on any number of machines. So
yeah. Cool. Okay. Just for AJ, we're gonna I think in like 10 minutes or so we'll do some demo. We're gonna get Kaido up and running, and we're gonna start attacking a box. So if you hang around for a little bit, we'll definitely do some hands-on stuff. And I think we have Runtime Terra, nice username. Can we get a course of Kaido? So do you mean maybe the same? Do you want kind of like a quick demo? Because we're obviously we're gonna dive into that soon. But
we don't have full courses yet. I'd say like our tool changes so fast these days that it's not, we haven't invested in making a long form videos. Some people do streams, so I'm gonna try. I tried to link all the streams on our documentation, but it's a lost cause. So I just do my best, but no official course yet.
Maybe at some point in the future.
Once we're a bit more stable, but we're starting to. Some tools are starting to be more stable. They haven't changed in a few months, so
makes sense. All right, let me just. I'm just going to pop this user on timeout because he's talking about crazy things. And
that happens on stream.
I usually have like Adriana's usually got my back, but she's on holiday today. So it's all good. All right, what else do we have? So best way to secure your home network. Maybe that's a question for another stream.
Another day, maybe.
So there's a question here saying, is it lightweight? Which I think, obviously we know the answer is yes, but is there anything you want to add to this? Like,
I don't know. Like I said before, like it's a client server. So if you're, I don't know, it says to reload the page. I don't know if okay, no, it's fine. Okay, it's good. Okay. No, it says like so in theory, like you can run it on any hardware. Like we've seen really people with very small configuration run it on their own computer, and if you want to have more resources, you can always pop it on a VPS. Obviously it's better if you don't have a lot of ping between you and the server, because it's a nice experience.
That's always gonna be the
case. But that's kind of how I would describe it. But we don't keep a lot of stuff in RAM, so like the server consumes maybe like half of a gigabyte of RAM, and then after that it's the browser obviously that consumes resources. But that is like classical. So
it makes sense. I think let's just take one or two more questions before we dive into demo. So there's a question here about shortcuts, which actually I quite like shortcuts, but I haven't really explored the shortcuts.
They're still very basic right now, so we have a few shortcuts that are not editable. So but that's something we want to invest more. We have a lot of ideas also around command palette. That's something we want to add instead of having a huge right-click menu. But yeah, so that's something. It's a work in progress. The shortcuts.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Definitely a work in progress.
Did we already? So we already touched on Rust, I suppose. But was there a main reason for choosing it over other languages?
I think it could have been like on a Golang stack also. I think it doesn't really matter. We chose Rust. I think at the beginning it was a really fun project, side project. So it was also to learn Rust. It developed later as a business. So I think we kind of continued that because that's what we built the initial prototype in.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, but it's a good language if you want to have like low level control, but still have a modern syntax. Like I wouldn't code that in C or like even C++. Like, I don't know, not my cup of tea. Some people
you'd have a lot more lines of code.
Yeah. So I like the language. It could have been Golang. It's also faster to code in Golang, but you have less guarantees. I like the control that Rust gives me. It's easy to cross compile to other platforms.
That makes sense. Cool. All right, let's take one more question. I think the AI questions are starting to come out. Are you going to integrate with AI at some point in the future? I suppose all tools seem to have some kind of...
we already did that. So, but we
nice.
provide to our pro users. We provide ChatGPT integration, and we started to do some interesting things.
Is that with the Open API key, or can you just like dump in your
it's using our backend and then our own keys via our backend. So it's not cool. So it's free for the person, so you don't have to set up anything. It's just included.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah. So eventually we might allow people to put their own API key at some point. We just started with that, so it's a perk for pro users.
Okay. Yeah, nice. Yeah.
That's starting to be some experiment. Like it's not that bad. It's it gives some interesting results when you need to explain snippets or just request of what it does. So
I'd say I use ChatGPT a lot for troubleshooting, and if I get a chunk of code and I'm like, I can't be bothered to read this, I'll just be like, please explain what this is doing to me. So it's all good. All right, so let's take a look, I suppose, at the box. And do you want to share, or how do you want to do this? And we can continue taking questions as they come in.
Did you want to check? I know there was a question, someone that was a bit below that I wanted to see. Yeah, okay, so there was a question about establishing a connection to a remote server and testing it from local.
Yes.
We'll see. Not sure. I'm not sure what that meant, but so you can deploy your Kaido server locally and then just proxy to any remote. So if that's the question, I'm not sure, but
okay.
So did you want me to show the download page? I know some people are confused about the versions. You can start there and
let's start from the beginning. Let's start with the setup.
Let's see, entire screen. I'm gonna share my second screen.
I'll drop the downloads links into the download link into the chat. So let me pop up your screen. There we go.
So we added this new download page. Before you had to log in to download the tool, and also it kind of is easier to explain the difference between the different types of downloads you can have. So if you just want to pop a server, usually you want to have only the CLI for your platform, and we do provide it for a couple of platforms. And then if you want to have the desktop includes a CLI basically inside the binary, so you can, if you just need to pop the server on your local machine, you can download the desktop. So let's say I download the macOS. I'm on Mac right now, so and then I would need to kill, I guess, my Kaido. Well, I can start it on another instance, so I can unzip it.
Are you able to zoom slightly?
Oh yeah, I know my screen is bit. Let's see. Is it better? A bit better.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's still quite small. Maybe I don't know about other people. My eyesight's not that good.
No, I know it's.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
do
So
that. It's all good.
let's see. I just need to be at the top. So when you download just the CLI, you'll get a single binary, and this single binary you can just like start. You can change the port because I already have something on port. So that's really what you get. Is that's just the server. So if you want just to have the server, you can pop it, and then that's what you would pop on a VPS or on local.
Right.
If I go back and I shut down the app. So if you download the application, I'm gonna maybe share on my other screen so it's a bit easier to see. Let's see. I'm gonna share my other screen. That will be easier. All right. Easier to see. And if you have the application, is that easier to see?
1 second. Sorry, let me pop it back up. Yep, there we go.
Yeah. So it should be a bit better. So that's what, if you get the application, that's what you get by default. So you have your local instances with the port setup. You can add new instances, either remote or local, if you want to change the port or the interface. And then you just start it. And then that will start basically in the background what you just saw with the CLI that I did in the console, but it does it in the background. And you if you need the logs, they are also saved on disk. So
nice. Okay. Cool.
So and then I can do a small presentation of the tool, and then we can jump back to your screen to do the box. But the idea here is So the idea here is you have a bunch of projects, so you can save projects. For free users, you can save up to 10 projects. Basically, that's the limit we imposed. And then once you have your project selected, you have the typical tools. So you have a sitemap. You have the scoping mechanism. So if you want to create new scopes, right now I just have one scope. The intercept tab, where like if I go on some website, I can get that paused, and then I can modify the request directly here. What I like about intercept is that you get all the intercept that are
I love the queue. Actually, that's
it's
super
a queue,
handy.
so you can you can forward or drop everything, or just like start forward again. You have the typical HTTP story, so that's for only the proxying request. If you want to have all the requests, you go in search. So search is more like a Logger plus kind of thing, where you can export and then you see all the source of the thing. So usually people like, you're mostly going to be in history, and then you can have the filters that we're going to rework at soonish, I would say, because we want to be able to save filters and all of that. So that's going to get a reworked. And then match and replace is tempering. So let's say you want to. One thing we always do is we have this collection system where every time you have something, you can put it in a collection, and then it's just organization wise, it's nicer to get. So example, if you want to change the header for like, or the body for like key, and then save it and test it. So you can test your rules, and those can be applied to request and response. And now that I'm working on WebSocket, it's also going to be applied to WebSocket at some point.
Cool. Okay.
And then you have replay. So replay is your repeater type thing. So it's a similar thing. You always have your collections to the left. You can create sessions. If you want to have google.com. We have a couple of options. Right now, we added recently to display the hidden characters because it was a bit easier to see, and then
Yeah,
updating
nice.
the content length
Yeah.
automatically. Some things like the assistant right now is pretty nice because like you can go here if it wants me to, maybe not. I don't know why my menu. So that's the thing with when you're in a browser. Yeah, sometimes it. But that's the thing. The assistant, you can explain what a certain request does,
Yeah.
and then you automatically we jump to the assistant. But that's what you so you get the assistant, and that's automatically handled for you. You don't have to pay anything for it. It's included in the subscription.
Nice. Okay, that's pretty cool. I think the assistant. So this must be a new.
We added that last release.
Yeah, nice.
So it's really like a ChatGPT text box. So
cool.
Pretty good. And then the automate that we're gonna use. So the automate is the brute forcing tool.
Yeah.
It's pretty limited for now. Like, but we have all the attack strategies that are generally offered. And then the payload type, we only just mark something so we can see. Usually, right now, the hosted file is the recommended one, because it's the most tested one in the end, and the files are uploaded using the files here.
Yeah.
So once you have a file on your server, you can use it in the automate, and we don't limit the number of workers, so you can go all in.
This is quite nice actually, because usually when I'm looking for files, I'm like, user share, sec lists. Yeah. And then it's like, am I in fuzzing? Am I in discovery? Am I in DNS? There's so many subfolders, which is not really a criticism of sec lists, but having just like a few files uploaded, like the ones that I use all the time, was quite a nice little, not something that I thought about before. But yeah, if I was more organized, I'd have them all in one place anyway. But it's nice to be able to add them in and then know that they're there. So
so that's kind of the goal, was to allow people to, since it can be a remote server, you need to upload them. So even if it's the local machine, but that's the way it is. So you upload your file, and then once it's uploaded, you go back to the automate, and then you can select it.
There's a question here about encoding, decoding, and I know there is so the convert tab. Do you want to show that quickly?
The convert tab is, I don't want to show it that much because it's going away. We are replacing it with the workflow tool that I was telling you about. So that's going away, but it's going to be the same functionality, just better, and it's going to be also more integrated into automate. So and replay. So the idea, well, I want to get to a point where you can either right click and then execute a convert workflow, or that you can put brackets here to just put like, I'm not sure yet how it's going to be, which bracket it's going to be, but that's coming. Really, like, that's our current focus. So we're gonna make that work. I like more. I'm not a fan of brackets. Usually, I like this system of ours where we just like tag stuff. With overlays. It's a bit nicer for the UI, so we might do that also.
It's a bit easier to kind of like mentally spot if you're like one character off. It's a bit clearer, I think, for sure. Are you also thinking of doing things like any auto detection on things like misconfigurations? So like, let's say if a cookie's not got HTTP only set, or if something looks like a password in the URI, is that something that you're gonna?
So that's the second part of our workflows. That's gonna be called passive workflows. So we're gonna have this system, and I haven't started working on it yet, but that's it's like almost it's at the design phase right now. But the idea is like on every request you're gonna run a certain workflow, and then you can define in this workflow if you want to detect a certain thing. And that the idea is like it's just a JSON, so you can share it with other people or create Git repositories of those JSONs. So that's kind of the idea of where we're going with this detection system, and then create some kind of metadata for the request to be able to append that data to the request.
Right. That makes sense.
So it's not there yet, but it's definitely something we're gonna work on in the coming months. So.
Okay, cool. I've got a question from Eric here. So, I mean, HTTP 1.1 is still supported
Yeah.
as a general standard, so I presume 1.1 is all good.
Yeah, that's what we've been seeing is like, I don't know, 99.9% of the web runs on HTTP 1.1. So
Yeah.
like even if they
Yeah.
support HTTP 2, it's not
Yeah.
been the focus for us
Yeah, that makes
at the
sense.
moment. So
I think, yeah. So a question from Nitik as well. So, sorry, we didn't get a chance to see your previous question. Hopefully, you're up to
Yeah.
speed with what's happening with Kaido now, Nitik. I suppose if you're running the tool locally, then you don't really need to worry about confidentiality and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
maybe if there are any points where an organization might be concerned, so using the assistant, for example, or are there any other points of the tool where somebody might have to think, I'm testing data with sensitive information. How do I
think
make sure it
assistant
stays?
is the only one. We only have very basic telemetry in place. So we just detect when people log in and when they like open the tool, the web page, and that's it. So we only collect that. There is assistant, obviously, because we have third parties, and
Yeah,
sadly there are no good local models. Well, there are some models, but they are not as good as you would.
Yeah, that's it.
And you need powerful GPUs and stuff like that. We don't.
Yeah.
Want to deal with. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. I suppose, that'll be a question that comes up for a lot of enterprises is, like data privacy and stuff like that. But
one thing I really sell to enterprise, like if we go a bit like that, is that usually we want to basically change the paradigms where you offer a Kaido box to your pen testers instead of the other way around. So basically the enterprise controls where the data is located instead of being on the machine of the tester.
That's actually a really nice thing because so in a previous job, we had some pen tests happening, external pen tests, and then about like 2 months later or something, I found a bunch of our configuration files posted on some like open share on the internet, and they'd obviously like pulled it down and then posted it up, and I was like, that must have been from this, and then obviously it all went around in circles for a little while. It was confirmed that happened. So actually kind of keeping control of your data and not letting your stuff kind of like leave your enterprise is quite a nice that's quite a nice thought. I'd never really thought about that actually. But,
that's one of the big selling point of having like remote access and secure. Also the login goes into that because you have access control and all that in place. So
yeah, cool. All right, so should we jump into this machine and let's see it working, I suppose, like against a target. So do you want me to share and we'll kind of like duo this box?
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Can you put your full screen so I see a bit more?
Oh, I have to decide whether I want to be at the top or the bottom. Let me see if we can do this, and then I'll switch. That's it kind of works.
Yeah,
with some more overlaps, but it's fine. It's all good. All right, so I've just created a new project anyway called Kaido, and we don't have any scope or anything set, and we have a couple of things popping up. So I opened this in my browser. Don't know what paddle.com is. There's probably some.
It's our payment gateway.
Okay, so it'll be like
I think it pops up sometimes.
Cool. All right, so let's scan this box, I suppose. Let's just do -A and we'll do this. And let's see what happens. And just so everybody knows, I'm basically running on 8081, so I'm proxying my traffic through 8081. I'm really lazy with ports. I have loads of random services running on my machine all the time, and I always forget to close them down. So my proxies, I don't know, are always now on 8081. So while this runs, let's see if there are any other questions.
I think it bugs them that we are all overlapped in the cameras.
Yeah, it's I think it's okay. We can maybe
Or you can just remove me. Worst case, it's fine.
oops. I can come to the top.
Okay, yeah.
And it's all good.
Yeah, this is one of the newer bucks from TryHackMe. It's the intranet one. I think it's called again.
Let me actually link it quickly as well. So this is it here. So I'll just pop this. Oh, I'm not logged in. Okay, let's log in. Ah, motorcycles. And I'll
the cat.
Oh, can you hear that? She's bashing at the door. So what is she doing? She's like rolling around outside the door. I have very needy cats for some reason. Where are we?
Trying to
Why
see
does
the
UI look? Oh, it's under learn. I had a total brain freeze for a second there. I can actually just paste this again, and now we're logged in.
Yeah,
so we're all good. So this is the box, and I've just popped it in. So it's quite a new machine. Let's go to info, and 18 days old.
Yeah,
so
2 weeks.
Yeah, nice. So that's pretty good. And it's the secure solar coders. So, all right, let's see how this scan's doing. So it looks like we've got 7, 21, 22, 23, 80, 80, 80. So this looks like the site doesn't have a title, so this is probably just a defaults page. And looks like this is running some web service. I think what we'll do is, since we're working with Kaido, we'll just take a look at the web services. We might have to come back and look at FTP and stuff, but we can, we've got this currently under construction, which we can probably fuzz. And then we've got this intranet login. So let's I suppose let's start with just some basic fuzzing, I think, because that's a lot of people obviously want to fuzz and discover content. So let's see if we can find anything under here. And all I'm gonna do is come under here.
Did you have a scope created?
No, not yet. Let's create a new scope. Actually, it's probably a good idea. So here, how do I do wildcard if I want to do
you HTTP? Do a percentage. You don't need to do HTTP. You can just do a percentage. But then you have an IP right now.
Yeah, the IP address. Can I just
the IP address works? Yeah.
And then so easiest way
your
to
camera is a bit in the way, so we don't see it right. So yeah, that's fine.
There we go. I'll just pop myself out of the way for a minute. Yeah. So this will catch everything in scope for this IP address and filter out everything else, basically. Yeah. Does it go historically, so it'll filter out previous results?
Nice. Yeah. If you go to sitemap, then you can set the scope in the sitemap.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I'm going to name it.
Yeah, you can rename it. Top.
How do
if you want to
it's
rename
this one, right?
Yeah.
So let's call this intranet, and then. Also rename. I don't need to press anything.
No. We removed the save that you had before. So saves now.
Nice. Here we are. Yeah, that's much nicer. That's kind of like a really clean, nice. Because I'm always clearing out my history because I've got Google and all sorts of other stuff in there. So so this is all good.
Yeah, and we tried to do a bit of grouping under the same domain, so at least you have everything under the same IP. So.
Yeah, nice. And so from here, I presume you mostly work out of HTTP history, and then you can start sending things to replay, automate, converts, etc. I did notice you don't have to unlock the UI to
no, we changed that to just
that's cool.
Yeah.
It's nice. There's actually a lot of little things that are kind of like changing, which
Yeah.
is nice. So here we want to try automate, and then
Yeah, I
I'm
guess you
gonna
want to brute force it. The brute
yeah,
force
I
the
think we're
login?
just gonna do some basic basic fuzzing. So I'm just gonna upload like a file. So I suppose let's go for this machine's a little bit of a mess now because I've been streaming for quite a while. There's so much stuff on here. I need to clean it up. Let's go user share. The tool doesn't come with any word lists, does it?
No, no.
Okay.
I think we should probably have some. So
That's okay. It's not, there's plenty of word lists available online. It's all good for now. So I'm just using the common out of user share. Does it make a copy to this?
Yeah, it
directory?
just copied. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
So I don't know if usually you can expand it, but might be a bit hard to do. If you want.
Yeah, this is just like a GUID, right?
Yeah.
We'll share. Yeah.
I think we didn't put the. Okay, interesting. Yeah, if you have long paths, doesn't show well.
That's okay. This is all good. I'm actually on a really small resolution because of the stream. So like on my massive monitor, my box
usually
is quite.
It's not a.
But obviously when I'm working normally, I have tons of space and I can see everything. So it's just the stream is a little bit
This one seems
limiting.
to be the GET request, I think.
So we want to do this, right? And then we just want to fuzz for. We could add like file paths and stuff like that. But I just kind of wanted to see what a basic fuzz would look like.
Maybe increase the number of workers in the settings. I think it's 1 by default.
So settings here.
No, it's 10.
10.
We changed it recently. I remember.
Yeah. So how many would you normally recommend?
Depends on your machine. That's the thing. Like if you have a lot of CPU cores, we can take advantage of that. But
I have tons. But actually, I think I'm only using 4 cores for my VM.
Yeah, 10 is good.
So,
then.
I do have a beastie machine, but I don't give too much resources to all of my virtual machines. Cool. Okay. So 10. Would you recommend if you're on a host machine that's like got a reasonably modern CPU?
Yeah, it depends on the latency of the thing is like the more workers you add, the more overhead we have in terms of synchronization. So if you don't have a large latency, it doesn't really matter. But if you have a long latency, it can help to put even 100 workers, whatever, worst case.
Cool. Okay.
So yeah.
All good.
They are very cheap. It's not a full OS thread, so yeah.
Cool. So let's just click start, and pretty quick. I mean, even with 10, this is reasonably fast, and it's quite nice to know that actually the limitation is more on my hardware rather than the tool itself, because a lot of tools will just single threaded and they'll just break. Or they just won't be able to get past a set. And
I'm quite surprised because usually the desktop app on Linux is quite laggy.
Right.
Usually I don't recommend that people use the desktop app on Linux because it's using WebKit GTK and on the background. And I think everybody likes to talk trash about Electron, but say what you will, it uses Chrome under the hood and it's very performant. So
right.
I think we decided to go like a bit with Tori, which is a Rust alternative, and it's like very small because you don't ship the whole browser with that. But at the same time, it's also using the OS, which is very not good. So the OS WebView, which is very not good. So
yeah, it makes sense. I think I did get some results. I got something in there. So I'm just gonna pop this off. So let's see if we got anything apart from 404. So yeah, we got some 302s. So we've got /admin. I presume this is because there's a space in the word list. Yeah, we got a 400. We got badge request. Obviously, you can't have spaces in your HTTP requests. .bash history. I know it's 404. Yeah, all of this is 404. So yeah, we've got an interesting /admin. Oh, and we get not found in the browser.
Is that Okay, interesting. It was a
Oh, am I?
Yeah. Was it the 8080
Oh no, yeah,
or
so
was
yeah,
it?
yeah, 8080. It's because I did the other request. And
Yeah, I
this
think
voice to
it
slash
goes
login.
to the
Okay.
login. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. But that's kind of like basic fuzzing, which is part of
Yeah.
every workflow. So I kind of want to see. I quite like the. I know my face is kind of in the way, so if I move it out the way quickly, I like the top and bottom, which is nice. And yeah, my machine's a little bit small, but I think on a normal screen, you'd obviously have a lot more
Yeah.
space.
And if you
I've
want to see a
just
preview, you can also tap on preview on the response to get a preview, like an image of
Oh, nice. Yeah, you get the
on
get the
that.
rendering.
So yeah, get a rendering of it. So
Is there a way to like?
it's not interactable. It's really an image that we take.
There's I can't remember what the tool is. I used it once or twice when I was working on some internal applications, and I think a colleague of mine automated it. So the output kind of went to. It basically gave us a gallery because there were
Okay.
so many web applications and so many internal things that we were looking at, and then we could just like we'd be like, oh yeah, here are all the Jenkins servers that are exposed. I wonder if that's a feature for the future where you can just be like, hey, preview all non-404s or something like that, and then it gives you a like an overview of all of them. I know they kind of like the use case for that is quite niche, but I think on internal pen tests it might be quite quite a nice tool for discovery if you're fuzzing.
Yeah, we want to build it's just that we don't have the time to it, but one thing that is I think would be very useful is more of a timeline or a evidence box or stuff like that, where you can just put stuff in there with notes and everything. So that's something we just don't have the time right now to build, but an idea that if more people upvote our issues on GitHub, we'll get it done. We work a lot with that, so if people upvote an issue, we
is that the so if I come to here,
you
is
go
it the
community.
roadmap?
Roadmap also works. Yeah, roadmap works, and then that's what we're working on. If you click on one issue in particular,
so let's filter by.
Yeah, that I don't really know if that thing really works.
Can I? Yeah, I just wanted features because
yeah,
I just want to upvote features.
Yeah, usually I don't go in that view. If you click on one issue, you can do it via the issues. Like click on any one of those issues, or you can go on Kaido. Yeah. So if you open the real issue? Let me. You can also go on directly on github.com/Kaido.
So for those in the chat that wants a a feature,
in issues there you can you can have all the issues there, and usually I filter by label. It's all labeled, so you can filter with. There's a component and features if you want kind features. So that's kind of a. That's all the topics that we have, and then usually we sort by. If you do component front end, let's say that's just for us internally, but gives you an idea. Yeah. And usually we do sort by. If you can at the top right you have a sort, and then if you sort by the emoji thumbs up at the bottom of that panel, you see what we're working on is that. So usually, like if it's not in the top 10 of that thing, we might not be working on it.
Yeah, nice. Oh, that's script intercept.
Yeah,
this is quite nice because I think before I looked at the roadmap, but I think this is kind of more like.
Yeah, we might want to. I might change the link at some point to that.
Yeah, this is cool. All good. All right, so anyway. if you're in the chat, come and vote for whatever feature you want. I presume you can open like
you can open issues.
Yeah, nice. Okay, that's awesome. Cool. Okay. So let's head back here. So I think what we want to do is we want to try and brute force this intranet login. I mean, usually I'd do like, I don't know, admin or 1 = 1 and basic checks like that. But I'm pretty sure, I think from Ooh, hacking attempt detected. Ouch. I've been banned.
If I
That's
remember
probably
correctly, we wanted there was a I think there was an email somewhere in the source of that.
let's take a quick look.
Correctly, is that?
Yeah, here we go. It's like
Yeah.
pure CTF mode, which is
Yeah.
please report them to our developer team. So we have DevOps, and it says from Anders. So we probably got a couple of emails here. So
Yeah.
DevOps and Anders. So I wonder if it gives us feedback on the was it secure Solar something?
Coder.
Oh, coders. That's it.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, invalid password. But if I get the yeah, I get invalid username. So we can
do enumeration.
We can try and do some enumeration with Kaido on this, can't we? So if we just come to our HTTP history, grab one of these post requests, and then actually want one that I used for, with the with this. So when we're sending post requests, do we need to encode here, or is there some automated
encoding? Right now you do. Yeah.
Okay.
Right now you do. Yeah. We don't have the payload processing is done back end wise, not done front end wise.
Okay.
Sadly.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. All right. So let's grab.
You need another word list.
Yeah, what word list?
We know that DevOps at least has it. DevOps and probably Anders at.
Yeah, so maybe we don't actually need to fuzz for more users. We could just go with like mousepad. So was it DevOps at? I'm going to typo this, so I'm going to copy and paste instead.
Yeah.
I always do this, especially on stream. And then we've got Anders at this as well. So we've got these two. And then if we want to start fuzzing passwords, so let's say we want to do both. So if I unmark this, if I want to do a basic, whoops, there we go. If we want to fuzz both the username and password at the same time, how would our users go?
Yeah, so that would be a different. You need to mark them both. And
so
then
mark 1, mark 2.
Then you'll have two payload. So each payload will, if you go to the right, you have payload 1, and then you have. In theory, you should have. Oh yeah, it's because you have a mode. You change the attack mode. So right now you're at all. So all will just set. Like you have one word list and it sets to all of them. If you have sequential, they'll just try. I think in here we probably want to have a parallel. I think that's the thing we probably want to do.
And that gives us two separate lists. And then what I can do is I can grab this, create a file quickly.
Or you can do a simple list for that.
Can I just type in the list? So is it in order? So the first one is simple list.
Yeah. No, okay, yeah, you need to create a file. We need to revert that. Usually, like before, we only had the simple list, and then we added the thing later, and we didn't go back to.
Okay.
So yeah.
So let's do Vim.
I think you need parallels, matrix in that guys, because you want to test DevOps with all the password, and then so that's gonna be matrix.
Oh, matrix. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And so if I upload this file, and then to
emails,
oh, that's it. And then we can just use common for now, I think.
Yeah, we can test it. Yeah.
And then
so the first one is gonna be the email.
Yeah. Is it always in order? Like the first one is the furthest on the left.
Yeah, that UI we're gonna improve also.
I think that makes sense though, because like if I then go and add like a header here, so that would become number 1.
I think one thing I want to see is like being more visual, so you know exactly what is one, and also what the attack strategy is going to be, because I always forget what that one is.
I'm the
But,
same. I always forget
yeah.
which types to do. But
So normally that
yeah,
gives you,
nice.
yeah. So
Yeah, so this is what we wanted, because we have
yeah.
the email, and then it's like going through the whole word list like this. So this is pretty nice. I quite like the it feels smooth, which is like, for me, it's I know it's not like the biggest deal in the world, but if you're going to use a tool a lot, you want it to feel like responsive and smooth, which is quite nice. So yeah.
But
Oh,
that's very
Jared
taxing.
Soon says
Yeah.
a place to store screenshots. I think when we were
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about the
True.
the previews earlier, so that's
Yeah.
quite nice. Probably good for reporting as well. So
Yeah, that's the whole reporting is something we know has a lot of values for people when we can try to automate all the reporting stuff and report building. I know, like, usually more senior pen testers, they have their own workflows that they're used to because they
yeah,
build it over the year. But yeah, it's always nicer if it's integrated.
yeah,
I'd say
that makes
like this view, like with all the new requests, is the most taxing view of the whole app
yeah,
because it loads so much stuff like in real time.
yeah,
It's really
yeah,
hard
for
to.
sure. Yeah.
So yeah. We'll see.
So just for the people who joined us, so I can see, what web proxy is this, what tools is. So we're looking at Kaido at the moment. So I can just bring up the website, and I'll drop the link into the chat again. So if you've just joined us, Amel is from the Kaido team, and we're kind of just going through some of the features, looking at the workflow, brute forcing some stuff, talking about Rust, all this good stuff. So if you have questions, feel free to jump in, and then it's all good. All right, so this is running quite nicely. I suspect we're not going to find the password with the directories list, though, which is, like the password's probably not going to be one of these. But that's a nice, it's a nice view. And for the next one, I might up the workers a little bit and see we can see the difference. So usually when I'm brute forcing here for CTFs, there's kind of like two choices. One is you use like the top 1,000 or 2,000 passwords from like RockU and things like that. But I think when I was briefly looking at this box earlier, we can use Cool to grab a word list, which actually I think, I can't remember who wrote it, but there is a plugin for Burp Suite, which is basically the same as Cool. So I hope that, once the plugins are available, we can like crawl HTTP history for like keywords and do some filtering on that.
And create basically.
That might be my contribution.
Yeah, you need to have a custom word list for sure, based on the app you're attacking. Because like sometimes I think I saw someone doing that box, and it was like a combination of a word. Like usually, like for example, like typical password would be like summer 2023 or something like that, which you're not gonna get on the standard list, but it's
yeah, makes sense. I think we can just, for now, we can dump this.
Nice.
Let's do this to let's just call this passwords.text, and then I'm just gonna vim this quickly, and then we're just gonna remove some that I think probably mail isn't there. Maybe proudly listed, maintained. This could probably be it. This could be it. Let's get rid of this.
Yeah, custom word list. Someone said in the chat that is the key, but I think you need to probably put the year on. Maybe the year.
Yeah. Okay.
Would be interesting. I don't know if it's this year or last year. Usually would be interesting.
Okay. Let's. All right. So what we can do then is we can just do. We could, so there's a couple of ways to do that, I suppose. What we could do in Kaido is we could use like the parallel one, appends the name, and then appends the year afterwards. That's a way of doing it. I suppose what I would usually do is I'd script
But
this,
I'm good with also what is interesting is that you can pipe a tool in Kaido if you just, you can run it with Python, but like one thing that could be interesting is use another tool and you just forward it through Kaido, and that way you keep your history, and that's a lot of people do because we don't have all the tools. So if you want to run FUF or any other tools, and then you just provide a proxy for that tool, and that works.
Yeah, that
And
makes
so you
sense.
keep
'Cause,
your whole
if you're-
history there, and you
Yeah.
can search with Kaido the whole history.
Yeah, that makes sense. Whoops. Yeah, because often like I proxy like my curl traffic and things like this, or I use
Yep.
like proxy chains for
Yeah.
tools that don't have like a built-in proxy flag or something like this. So
Exactly.
yeah, that definitely could work. So let's see. I already have a file called numbers, which I probably used in a previous CTF because like I've probably done this a bunch of times. But we actually want
numbers.txt.
Right? Yeah. Okay. And then I'm gonna have to like write a quick script. If I write this quickly, you can answer some questions in the
chat. We can answer questions. Or maybe we there are or I don't know if you have a tool already installed for that. There are some tools that exist for just creating word lists, but yeah.
Actually, I always do it manually. Okay. I don't know why.
Right.
There's probably a good way to do it, but you know.
Good questions for the package of projects for deliverable collection. We have an export button right now, so you can export the requests in CSV or JSON. We don't have a whole export of projects, but in reality, it's a SQLite, so it's not that hard. It just you need to be a bit technical, so it's not good for a client or something like that. But for if it's just you that archives your stuff, you can copy the SQLite database. But that's something we're looking into because that allows us to be whitelisted by HackerOne for their own internal pen test. So definitely something we will do. So in terms of the older questions, do we handle CSRF tokens? We don't do anything natively right now. That's something that the workflows are you're gonna be able to do with workflows, custom workflows down the line. Hopefully in the before fall, that will be all released. And so Kaido features in Pro, I think it's a different tooling. Like one of the biggest thing, there are sometimes stuff you cannot do in Burp Suite that you can do in Kaido and vice versa. So we also are much cheaper, so that is a thing for some people. So just people. Credentials, yeah. Storing screenshots, yeah, that would be I think one of the things we will probably work next year on. Everything that is related to reporting, saving of notes and everything, that's probably going to be next year. But yeah. Trying to scroll down to the questions. Yeah. Other questions. Download extensions, not at the moment. So that we're starting to allow extensibility in the next release with basically what we call workflows. So there will be nodes that connect. If you've seen at some point like stuff like Unreal Engine where they have those nodes where they connect boxes together to create those views, that's what we're going to in the next release. You'll have one code block, so you'll be able to code some JavaScript and run it in that for Convert. And then eventually, once we get from Convert, we're gonna add other types of workflows. So workflows that integrate in the pipeline, the proxying pipeline, and workflows that work on events. So if you receive like a sitemap created or stuff like that. So that's kind of our plan. And then eventually allow people to add their own node that they can code. I think one of the challenges is we don't have a JVM or anything like that. So we're looking at WASM right now, but it's very early still. So we're like letting it mature a bit before we go all in on it. But definitely something. Most likely, what people will be able to do is like code in Rust and compile to WASM and then run it in Kaido. So that's kind of the end goal. But that's going to be a very selected amount of people. I don't expect like majority of our users to do that. So that's why we are going more with the no code plugins and things like that.
Do you already have enterprise licensing and stuff available for
enterprise? It's not really. We do we have a couple of deals with some enterprises because
so it's kind of like get in touch and
get in touch with us. Yeah. We can discuss your needs and then what are requirements, because we need to do security questionnaires and anything. So like we're not big enough. We're 3 people, so we don't have
you don't have
the amount of
sales
resources.
team and all sorts.
We select the customers we want in the enterprise because we just don't have the capabilities to support like a huge.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because when you've got a big company like leaning on you for stuff, it can be
exactly
tricky as well, because you also you want to get stuff built and everything else. So that's cool.
If we think it benefits the larger community, obviously.
That makes sense.
We have some t-shirts, but it's exclusive merch.
How do I get a t-shirt?
Right now it's like we only have a few, so I'm still looking for a way to distribute them. But
it makes sense. That's cool. I'm sure actually a lot of people will want a t-shirt. It's
I know.
I think the TCN t-shirts go they go very quickly whenever they come into stock. So I have
to check. Well, if you know the merchant site they use to that, because I'm not in this world, so I don't know anything about like how
Adriana will be able to give you some good recommendations. And also we had problems with a supplier before, so she'll tell you who to avoid as well. So if you ping her on Discord, I'm sure she'll give you some good insights on that one. So I've just I just finished up this script quickly, which you're right, there probably are tools
that's all right
that do this. I can't even remember what I called this. Oh no, I've lost it. But anyway, it's output this far. Oh yeah. Here we go. I can just do history.
So supporting the project, I would say just to answer that question, share it around. Obviously, like if you can take a pro subscription and support the project financially, that's always appreciated. If you can't, that's okay. Also, you can share the project around, vote on issues, open new issues when you see bugs, and that's help us grow awareness of the product. So.
I think that there's a Discord as well. So
we have a Discord. If you wanna, we're very, very responsive. Like people, like unless it's like 2 a.m., then I might not be on. But if it's any other hour, usually I respond within 5 minutes. So
it makes sense. Do you have the link to Discord? I think it's on the Kaido site, isn't it? So
you can go directly on the Kaido and then community. You have the Discord.
Discord chat. So let me. I assume this link isn't like unique to me, and then I'll just drop this into the chat, and then all good. All right, so with this, let's grab a request and let's try Anders first. And if that doesn't work, what we'll do is we'll try the DevOps email, because we have two of them, and then we can just mark this. And then all I've done is I've just imported this passwords export. So this is here. And
I don't think you need matrix MIS. Sequential is probably good.
Sequential, the first one, hosted file, this one.
And password export. Okay. Maybe increase the number of workers to.
Let's go.
Let's go. You can go crazy. We'll try to see if it breaks your machine.
Let me see what are my settings. Does that show on stream if I do that? Oh no, because I'm capturing the wrong window. So this machine is 16 gig of RAM and 6 processors. And
it should be
my CPU is a Ryzen 9, so the process they should be pretty good.
Okay.
So 100, what do you think? Will it break?
No, I think it's yeah. We'll see.
Oh, it's quite quick. Look at that. It's like
Yeah, I don't know if it's sometimes not growing that fast. I would expect that too. Sometimes the overhead is more than the gain you get, so
should we
maybe it's a bit,
try
yeah,
50?
yeah.
Let's go come back to whoops.
Didn't like that.
No, it didn't. It's still recovering.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Okay,
Okay,
now
we're back.
we're back.
It's
We're
nice
back.
that it didn't just like crash out there, because a lot of
Yeah.
applications, when you do something like that, it would just be like, "Pfft," and it would just
Yeah.
die, and you have to
Yeah.
then reboot and things like this. So, all right, so
Let's see.
let's try with 50. That's still reasonably
15.
quick.
Sometimes the backend is already processing faster. It's just the front end that doesn't load as
It's got
fast.
to update, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, we'll leave that running for a little bit, see how it goes, and then.
But do
see
we
if
have
we
a
can
way
find
to
this.
differentiate? I guess we'll have to. If it.
So what I think we'll do is we can the content length should change fairly, because like all of these are like 24, 30, 24, 40. So I assume if the login is successful, the content length will be vastly different. And if it's not, then I'll just cry.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So in theory, yeah.
Just interesting, the order. Maybe this is just the way I did the script.
Oh, it did freeze a bit there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because I've clicked like reorder everything. So we'll let it run for a bit and see what happens. It's all good. When I was running it with 10 workers, it was going very smoothly. So it's all good. I mean, limitations of my VM. So
it's also like we send one request per request, so sometimes it might we need to do more batching in those brute forcing scenarios.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Let
it finish. I think when it's gonna finish, it's usually I don't like leave it on this UI because it's very
it's quite heavy. Yeah.
But I'm gonna. That's something we have to improve, I guess. Batching.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So I think one of the other questions. So like, what's a feature that you guys are like really happy with so far, or like what's some of the core stuff that you're really happy to have ticked off?
Yeah. One thing we did spend a lot of time on is the HTTP history. The HTTP history, basically, where you have this infinite. Basically, you can't load everything in the front end, so you have this problem of like you're trying to lazy load bunch of the list with filters and scopes and ordering. So it's a lot of like it's a lot of engineering to just be able to do that smoothly. So when you scroll, it always works, and if you have new requests that come in, they are ordered correctly in that list on the front end. So I think we spent like so many months, like in total, like you can count the amount of work that was like very, very challenging in terms of like, and it's just like, it's not a big feature. Like it's not sexy. It's anything, but you need that to work perfectly.
Yeah. It's like really, integral. So
that's something, hopefully, so that's something that we fixed, I think, all the bugs in. Compared to other tools, that's the most stable thing.
What's your prediction for version 1 release dates? Because I think it's on 0.26 at the moment, right?
Yeah. We're kind of in this Rust mentality where we don't want to release a V1. You end up with like V0.100. And then so I don't know exactly when the V1 will be. I think the way I see it is that it's functional. You can pay for it, like you can use it professionally. I think it's just a matter of like, okay, the automate, we know that the automate for larger workers, it's bugged. So like something like that once we are happy, where like all the basic tools are pretty stable and we have plugin systems and all that will be that will basically be where we would decide to make it V1. But it's a public, like, it's not that we are I would say private or anything about it. So it's just a title that we say expect some bugs. That's
yeah, fair. Yeah, it makes sense. All right, I think I might. Can I?
Yeah, you might want to reset.
Cancel
restart
and maybe if I just pop this down. But hopefully everything.
Now you can connect again. Yeah. Sometimes the front end just freezes.
It's okay. So we're good. So I can just. I've still got my project up.
Yeah. So as long as you don't fully quit, it's just the front end that needs to be a restart. So
Nice.
let's see. So you have.
So I come here.
So
and
that's
then,
your whole session, but then you have the execution of it, which is like, now you have.
So
like
here, so I can still come back. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so it was stuck on like 600 because we were
Yeah.
down, but 12,601. So that's pretty good. Let's see if it found. So it found this
302.
505.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
That looks like it, and that looks like a really
like it, yeah.
obvious password.
Yeah.
So I can just copy
But
this.
I don't know. I just want to take a moment to appreciate that we sorted 12,000 requests in a fraction of a second over.
Oh
the
yeah,
network.
like
I just worked so hard for that to work well.
Yeah.
It's like so obvious for like everybody, but it's like when you've worked like months to make that work,
Yeah,
it's like okay.
that was nice to see. The best features are the ones that you don't notice it because it's
No.
like it's really.
It's
smooth,
good when
but-
you don't notice it, but like I just wanted to point that out because like I'm proud of that thing.
Yeah. Well, we have quite a lot of devs, I think, in the chat as well, so they're probably
Yeah.
feeling like the same. Then feeling
Jared
the
with
same
really
thing.
good question again. In terms of the security tailor for, we did do some of it. So I don't know if it's we might have copied that. But yes, we basically in ChatGPT you can set a system prompt, and the system prompt informs all the prompts that you have after that, and it's we really spent a lot of time on tailoring this system prompt, and I haven't tested. There's a new version of the model that I need to test in that's supposed to be even more informed by this system prompt. So definitely that's something we use a lot, and then. Right now we have a right-click explain a request, so that way we like format the request explicitly for like if you go back to the assist.
So I don't have.
Oh yeah, I need to relog in, I think.
So how do I?
You should be able to relog in.
I'm gonna pause my screen for a second.
Yeah,
I got my personal
we can
email.
continue. Yeah.
I don't want to get spammed with.
The
stuff.
email. So
yeah.
So the idea is like we did a system prompt, and then we added some more specific prompts when you do specific actions. So right now we have the right click explain. Another one we want to add is like decode that thing or generate. We have a generate CSRF payload. So that's like something that we worked on making sure that we have some good prompts for you that are built in. And eventually the idea would be to just add those to add those new prompts that the user can add automatically to their generated prompts. So that's an improvement, but we've seen it's pretty good. Like one of the things we tested against that we haven't put in the UI yet is like you give it a list of endpoints in the sitemap, and then it gives you like ideas of what to test. So it can kind of sees like, oh, you have a user, so maybe try /1 or /ID. So we see really it as a complement for stuff that we don't really support natively. Okay, so yeah, you can just one way to you can start a conversation if you want, or you can go in the like an intercept or distributed history, and then just click on maybe not this one because you have tokens there. But let's say like
that's
the guy Kaido stuff. So maybe just one of those. The scope to internet.
There we go.
So like just click on any one of them, like say SMS, and then
grab this.
Then you can right click on the request itself, not necessarily
the request.
And then you can send. Oh, why is it not?
Maybe do I need to just log out, restart the UI after I've relogged?
Yeah, you might have to restart the UI because I did a setup, but I think it was okay because usually people when they pay they have automatically everything set up, and then I did some manual database change for you. No,
all
it is.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
So you can
So if I
explain
send
and
this
then
explain.
yeah. So that's like explaining, and then they will see. So
Nice.
it will perform.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And
So,
yeah, 3.5 turbo, so it should be pretty quick, which is quite nice. Yeah. What is the 1CR/token?
Okay, so the way it works is that each of those models, we only support 3.5 because I'm still waiting on GPT-4 access. But basically, each model will have different costs based on the number of tokens. So the number of tokens, we don't display it, but it's usually the number of words, kind of. Minus like the number of stuff. And then the idea is like we right now it costs 1 credits per. That's funny. It's a competitor.
What about Kaido?
No, I don't think he knows about
the
us.
2021 September, I think, is the cutoff.
Maybe, yeah.
I can't remember what dates. What dates is your data cutoff? It depends when the site went live and when like people started putting out.
It won't tell you. Yeah.
I think there is a way to trick it to tell you, but I can't remember how to do it. So.
It knows about Kaido though.
Oh yeah, regulated by the Kaido development team.
Interesting.
So it must know, because actually I didn't mention Kaido,
Nope.
so it must know that it's obviously using like your token, or because the users are using
we're not sending anything related to Kaido, so I don't know. It's kind of weird, but
ChatGPT I think learns from everything with input, right? So it's probably like if I put something in saying, "Hey, I'm doing this," then it kind of like knows.
Yeah, it has a maximum of number of tokens, like But the idea with token is like for GPT-4 it costs us like 30 times per token what it costs for GPT 3.5. So we kind of have 500,000 tokens per month for paid users, and then once we offer other models, and then eventually, like if you want to use your own API key, then it doesn't matter. But like since we are paying for it, we have to put some limits on it.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I don't have the API key yet, unfortunately. I just have the like the standard user.
Yeah. That's why we said like we don't want people to have to set up their own API key because it's a pain.
And I don't think it's not openly. You have to like
it's a bit
like
complicated,
request it, right? There's like a queue or something.
You have to request it. And
all right, nice. So we have this. All right, let's try this. Let me like create this request here, and we get this invalid SMS code. So I just assume we're gonna try and brute force this.
Yeah.
So let's see if the assistant will. Oops, down here. Can I? I can't edit the question before I send it, but let's send it. Ask it to explain first.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, hey.
But you can create new conversation and just paste it also if you want.
Right?
You can just So if you do want to do that,
so you like outline typical attacks I can use against this request, and then I'll just copy this.
It knows about it, so you don't.
True. Yeah, because it's in the chat history, isn't it? Yeah. So. But that's quite like, it's nice that again it's kind of embedded and it's part of your workflow. And if you see something like, for example, you're like, oh, what is this like cause header? I've totally forgotten what this does. You could probably just send this to the assistant and be like, hey, how do I?
That's something we want to add, like just the Once we just don't have utilities to detect when you have a selection versus just the whole request, so that's why we don't have it yet. But but you can always go in the conversation, start a new conversation, and just like tell me what that is.
Yeah, this is nice. I really like this little again kind of like clean workflow. Nice. Rather than having
it won't hack for you, but it's just. It gives you ideas. That's why, like, that's the way I use it even in development. Like, I know I want to do something. I just need ideas to do it. And generally that's how it works.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you might want to have it seems to be 4 characters.
Yeah.
So you have a list
I have a list in my head. I did this before, and then like I was brute forcing some SMS thing, and the code was like 0050, and because I did I in range like
Yeah.
like this. It wasn't included in my list, but
Yeah.
there's a chance that it's fine. So
Yeah. Worst case, it's just gonna do more requests. But
yeah.
there was a good questions in automate obfuscation. Yeah. So that's the thing that someone suggested for the actual for basically allowing people to send requests to the assistant without leaking data. So that's something we are probably going to do. Yeah.
It's a good idea, because actually I get a lot of people who've taken my course reach out to me. They send screenshots, and they usually what they do is they'll fuzz out like the host, but then they'll forget like the referrer header or something.
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like, I can see what's going on.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you can
yeah.
like strip out sensitive information, or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
in the body and stuff.
And
That'd be
yeah, that
cool.
could be used for screenshot and for the assistant. So
Yeah.
yeah. So definitely
SMS.
Yeah.
All right, let's change.
Let's
Let's
go
go.
10.
Let's go 25.
Try. Yeah. Let's go. Let's try that.
It's still quite quick.
Seems happy. Yeah.
It's not going to take long to get through
No.
10,000. So just
No, it's gonna be
while it's doing this, I can chat to GPT.
Yeah.
and plan
yeah.
my next step.
But definitely, like, there's a lot of overhead because you're in like the desktop application. Like in the web, you usually don't have those slowdowns and all of that. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I was gonna actually ask you about testing APIs. What are your thoughts on making APIs easier to handle, especially if you're like handling authentication and like testing, doing like A/B testing? So if you're trying to test
two users,
a user versus an admin, and you're testing access, or you're trying to like manipulate JSON web tokens. Is that something that you guys are thinking about as well?
Yeah, we're thinking about that. It's interesting. It still bugs out at some point. But I think it's mostly the desktop
probably
app.
My machine. Yeah.
No, it's the desktop app. I'm pretty sure. But anyway,
it hasn't done this to me before. To be fair,
interesting,
and I have been using it a fair bit. So.
But yeah, in terms of like the multi-user, that's something we're looking into at some point. I think it's gonna be. There are two things I want to build. Is a variable store. So the variable store would be something like where you can switch variable, a group of variables. So you have like your user and then you like a workspace. So you switch those workspaces. That's one way to do it. Yeah. Another way would be through passive actions or passive workflows. So on new requests, you try the same request but with a different user. So that's something. Okay, so now you have true. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So sorry, carry on. I was just.
So the payload is 5744, I think, not the ID though.
Oh yeah, 5744.
Yeah. So okay, cool.
We get a nice flag.
You get a nice flag. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the idea. Is like you have variable stores, and then eventually we want to have variable stores that are shared with your team once we get to the teams part. So definitely that's one thing, and then a lot of people want to be able to just replay the same request with another user, so that would be more with workflows.
If you're testing for like IDOR and stuff like that, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I found a nice IDOR bug the other week on Integrity. That was good.
Nice.
On some random thing. They've accepted it, but it's still in like pending. So I can't tell everybody which target it was, because it's probably not fixed yet. So but all good. Because I'm not the world's biggest fan of Postman. I do use it sometimes when I'm testing lots of a large set of APIs.
Yeah.
And the scripting is very powerful, even though it takes a lot of time to set up. Do you kind of envision you having something like that in the future where you can mass test stuff with some scripts?
Yeah, I haven't played a lot with the scripting on Postman. I use Postman for like just regular stuff, but I'll take a look at that scripting. That's interesting.
It's quite useful if you like, so if you've got like an endpoint that gives you a token, like you can write scripts that will grab that, set it as a variable, and then all of your other endpoints work as as an authenticated user. So stuff like that makes life a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And you can do some cool stuff, like you can when a new collection is deployed, you can just be like, okay, fuzz all of the HTTP methods, for example, on every endpoint that you've given me, and you can quickly script some attacks or some stuff like that as well. So Postman's quite good for that, but it does take a long time to set up. So it's useful if you're going to be testing something, like if you're an AppSec engineer as part of a singular product or as part of a development team, then it makes sense to set it up. But on a one-off pen test, it's kind of like it takes too long, in my opinion. So I wonder if there's some nice middle grounds there that can be.
There's one of the things we want to do is with active actions to be able to have a block that is send request. So if we have a block that is a loop with an action that is send request, like you can. Like that's why I like this kind of workflow, because we don't need to explicitly support the feature for you to build a workflow around it, and then you can reuse that workflow for like every other projects that you have, and it's just a JSON that you copy and paste. So I think with that you'll be able to do something like that. I already have a coding blocks that I built for the next release. So that you can like. At least you cannot like right now it's not for requests, it's only for the conversions. So but at some point you'll be able to parse requests with this JS. So and surprising, I wanted to do Python, but it's very hard to integrate the Python VM in other stuff. Like it's very hard, and it's a pain. So like we decided to integrate JS with an implementation called QuickJS, which is like just a couple of C files, which very easy to build and very easy to distribute. So that's how we went with it, and then eventually we'll have Python, but I wanted to avoid the pain of it for the moment.
Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, don't make life hard for yourself. There's so much like you can do. You got to just like
the thing when you're a team of 3 and just 2 full-time, you really have to like be ruthless on what you do. You can't lose time on a lot of stuff. So
it makes sense. All right, so let me just check back in with the chat and let's see if we have any other questions coming in. I think we're all good. Still quite a few people chilling. So if you guys have questions for us, feel free to drop them in. I can't see exactly how many viewers we have at the moment. The thing is that Restream kind of lies about the viewers. It'll be like, oh, you have 100, but I think on LinkedIn we've got easily a couple of hundred on there as well. So yeah, if you have questions for us, obviously. Drop them in, and I think we'll wrap up soon. But
that makes sense.
Let's take another quick look at this. I'm just gonna have a quick like poke around. Ooh, you don't have access to the requested resources. That's a shame.
That's because you're logged in as Enders and maybe not admin.
I need to be admin.
There's probably a way to escalate, but yeah, I agree with the keyboard thing. I think it's a prioritization thing in terms of.
Yeah, makes sense. So yeah, let's finish up with the test. Any other kind of features that you want to highlight or show?
We didn't test a lot the match and replace because that box is not really for match and replace, but that's the only thing we haven't touched that much.
So if I wanted to, let's say, update my user agent because I don't know, maybe I've piped some like SQL map through Kaido, and I've intercepted the request. So let me take like I don't know, just any request. Can I?
You just come in here. If you hover, you have a plus, or you can click on add a rule just there.
Sorry, add a rule.
Your collection's empty. Add a rule to get started. Just nope. You just.
Oh yeah, this one.
There
Sorry.
you go. Yeah. All right. So you can select that rule. So those are the active rules. So you select it, and then it appears to the right. So let's say that would be a request
Let me
header.
move myself out of the way quickly.
You might wanna...
So if I want to update, okay, yeah. So if I wanted to update the user agent, be request header.
Do you want a regex or just a search? That depends.
So if I search, if I put like user agent, for example, is it going to take the whole string? Is it going to match the whole line?
Not if it's just a simple search. You would need to have a regex. Yeah. That's the simple match and replace. If you want to have like a dot star or something like that.
Yeah, like.
And then you can save it and then test it. Yeah, you can probably do.
So at the moment it's stripping it. Yeah. And then if I want to do user agents, I don't know, Chrome, whatever Chrome's one is, I can't remember. So if I just save this and then test, yeah, we have nice. That's cool. I mean, that's super simple to use, which is really nice. And
so now it's active by default. Like you have the active rules by default. So if you do another,
So on like replay automates, it's gonna.
The temper is only on the proxy at the moment.
Okay. So any requests going forward, like if I refresh this, for example, and I come back to HTTP history.
Yeah, and then you have to check. Now you have the original. So if you have you see original and then you see the tempered one. So yeah,
nice. I like it. That's cool. That's super handy. There is like with things like this. Through my testing, I don't use this all the time, but when you do need it, it's so helpful. Like it's kind of like one of those edge case things where it's like
and I liked we added this simple test because it. Like you never know if it's ever gonna do the thing you want to do, so that's why I added.
This is really
we should
nice.
add a test just to test the thing.
I love the test. Yeah, this is definitely super handy, especially if you don't use regex every day. It's like wait, is it this character?
Syntax again?
I don't want to have to go to like regex101.com and test it and this makes life a lot easier. Yeah, super nice. And then, so I can save this as like.
Yeah, you can change the name of the rule.
Use agents.
If you want to add.
Does the order of the rules matter as well?
Yeah, you can change it. If you have multiples, you can drag and drop them just to have the order right.
Nice, yeah.
So yeah.
And then we have a collection. So if I have multiple collections,
that's the thing.
I can activate
Yeah, you can have multiple rules. The idea is like with collections, and they are the same in the replay and everything, is really for organization purposes. So
it's one of the reasons I really liked the tool to begin with. Is like just it's easy to stay organized. So like I can easily switch between stuff now and decide what I want. Like. Just having this like set up how you want it and being able to switch between stuff is gonna one, it saves you a lot of time in the long run, and two, I make a lot of mistakes when I'm like doing stuff. I'm like, I forgot to change this or I forgot to do that, and like it just it's one less thing to worry about, which is really nice. So and then you can focus on actually testing. So that's
there was a questions on adding a header. Usually, it's a bit more complicated to add a header. We don't have like a strategy specifically for it, but usually I just like add another, like I just replay the host or whatnot, or like just change another header for it. So it's not super nice for adding a header, sadly. So or if you just put nothing in the search, I think it adds one at the end. Well, we can test that. I don't remember if it. Yeah, I think it adds. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we got
it. Adds another one. Yeah, by default it adds another one. By if you put nothing in the search, but
it makes sense. I mean, that's like even if it's that's kind of like a nice workaround for now until.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
Someone asked how much it costs. We have a pretty generous free
Oh yeah,
tier.
this
I
one.
would
Yeah.
say pretty
Let me
generous
pull
free
it up.
tier. Otherwise, it's $100 per year if you want to support the
Yeah.
project.
And
Or
you can
$10 a month. Yeah, you can pay per
do
month
monthly
also.
as well.
Yeah, and
So
we support both, and it's like no string attached, so it's, you cancel anytime.
yeah,
So
yeah. And I think like the free tier like features are pretty vast. Like
oh yeah,
more than what you'd expect to see on like on a tool. I
yeah.
think in my opinion. So
Yeah, I know, but we want to like give it
of course
to the
you're trying to grow,
community
right?
with, like,
And
yeah, we're
it
trying to
makes
grow
sense.
it.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's the idea. So
it makes sense. Yeah, awesome.
for the app logo, we had the idea is it's kind of a C shape, so it's kind of Kaido for a C shape, and then we kind of went with a designer to try to make it with fingerprint style.
Ah, that's cool. I quite like the logo. It's nice. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, awesome. All right, so I think the main feature that I want to see after today is t-shirts or merchandise on the. That's the next. That's the next one.
That's the next thing on my list. But I'm definitely
for me,
gonna take you
API
on.
stuff is would be awesome
Yeah.
to see. But we'll should be good. I'm really looking forward to the plugin and the way you're kind of designing it as well, which is going to make, I think, it a lot more accessible to security engineers as well, who don't necessarily have a dev background. Because a lot of AppSec engineers and stuff, maybe we do have some development experience or background, but there's plenty of people who don't and still need to use web app pen testing tools and things like this. So I think that's a great way to approach it, rather than kind of blocking out, because the security community is not a development community necessarily.
No, exactly.
So,
so that's kind of the idea, is like you have this builder, and our idea at the end is that you want to be able to take the same workflows that you've built on your UI side, and then run it as an independent CLI. So example, if you're in a security engineers, you've built this special detection in the workflow, then just we can release a small runner for that. Similar, Burp Suite, Portswigger released one recently, and I think it's similar to Nuclei. I think we want to take a different approach, where like it's UI first, so you build and then you can just commit the JSON and the detections after. But it's a different
I think that makes
way
sense.
to see it, because I hate writing YAML. I don't know.
the only time I write YAML is doing Docker files, and that's it. It's like exactly. Docker Compose, and that's
Docker Compose.
I just limit myself to that, and then I'm like, okay, no. No, nothing else.
Some people ask compare Burp Suite, but like I think we rewatched the stream. That's what I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah. So the everything's available on the Cyber Mentor channel. If you go to the live, you can go back through. But honestly, like the free tier has so much functionality. You can just download and have a play, and you'll get a feel for whether you kind of want to move towards Kaido's workflow, or whether you're happy with Burp Suite, if that makes sense. So
I mean,
we'll give it a try.
We don't claim to support all the features and every workspace. I sent you the link to the Discord if you want to. I can paste it. I cannot paste it in the chat directly. So if you want to paste it, I know some people, if they want to ask questions or if they have problems, they can join our Discord. And we're pretty active on there. So, but so we don't. So we have some features like the remote access, some stuff that are really unique to us. The workflows, how we build stuff, and how we envision the tool, but we know we don't have everything. So I think as we grow with the plugin system and the workflow system and everything, that will help, just to help us like enable the community to do their own stuff. So that's like why we started with the Convert, because it's the easiest for us, and we want to gather feedback and see what people likes about this builder and this pattern, and then see and then from there we can evolve it to other stuff in the tools.
It also makes sense in that actually there might be features that you can build through those blocks that you don't then necessarily have to build into the tool natively as well. So it's going to kind of like add stuff with extra overhead, so.
I'm definitely a big proponent of user extensions and user extensibility. I think it's very important. It's just very hard to do correctly, and it's like we didn't want to just do another Burp Suite, like it does. We wanted to take our own on it.
Yeah.
So
It's kind of like got its own own vision and like own style and workflow, which is nice. Yeah, super cool. All right, well, I think we'll wrap up there. I can't see any other final questions in the chat. I can see a bunch of people saying thanks for the insights. Looks great, outstanding contribution to the community. So thanks everybody for your kind words. I think if you have anything else you want to share before we wrap up, now's the time. Otherwise,
give it a try.
Discord.
Give it a try. Come talk to us if you need help on the Discord, if you have suggestions or bugs and everything. And know that if you don't have all the things you need right now, just come back in a few months. Like we're always shipping new stuff, like you saw in this stream that was like not there a few months ago.
I think it was like a month ago that I did the video.
We ship a lot of stuff, so and then it's very nice to receive kind words. Like it's what makes us go continue working on the project, even though right now it's not easy every day building a business, especially bootstrap and everything.
Yeah, makes sense. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us on stream. It's really really appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll catch up again in a little while with new versions and
new
boxes,
new features. Exactly.
That'd be awesome. New t-shirts.
I'll try to have them for that time. So
we'll do a t-shirt giveaway next time or something like
that's
this.
A good idea.
That'd be cool. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and don't forget, drop into the Discord, check out Kaido.io, download it, give it a try, and of course there are many ways to support the development team. So you can subscribe, or just being a part of the community also helps generally as well. So all right, thanks everyone.
Thanks a lot, and thanks for having me on the stream. That was I like it a lot. So
it was great.
Really
it's sometimes lonely on stream, so it's nice to have you here. All good.
All right,
thanks everyone.
See you around. Bye bye.